Hey everybody, my name's Corey McGowan and I was with the group Lumiere with Matt and JP. First of all, I want to say to Matt and JP, thanks for everything. I think we did a great job. JP and Matt and I met up once a week, almost every single week, and would probably sit together for about two hours or so and just kind of go over numbers and try the best we can to figure out what to do for the next round. And I think towards the end it definitely paid off. Right from the start we knew that multi-featured cameras was definitely was supposed to be our focus. And I actually got advice from my uncle who works for Kodak, and he said that since we all have kind of camera phones, and pretty much everybody has phones on cameras on their phone, that the point and shoot camera isn't as much in demand as it used to be. And so if people are going to spend the money to get a camera, they're going to go and get something like a multi-featured Nikon or a Canon or something like that. We didn't necessarily think that this would play in the game as much, but we figured it must be true in some sense, and it definitely did have the highest margin, and I'm sure everybody noticed that. So it was kind of important to really focus on multi-feature. Later on, we kind of kicked ourselves because we noticed, especially in the last year, that if we really kind of moved some numbers around for entry level, we could actually really help with net revenue. And we noticed that later on in the game, but if we could go back, we'd probably change those a little bit. So for the most part, an entry level, we kept it consistent and low cost, and really wanted to focus on multi-featured. As you can see on this slide here, for our entry level in year 6, our costs were 111, and we had a moderate PQ rating for entry level. I think we had 2.5, and we had the price at 155, which was about normal across the board. And you can see here the margin is $44. To start out in year 6, we wanted a higher PQ rating for multi-featured, so we bumped everything up, had raised the megapixels to 12, did a lot of changes in that, and our costs really went up higher to around 339. And so we had to make money somehow, so we put our prices at 416. It was kind of a shot in the dark. I'm sure everybody had that same feeling in year 6 to start out. Didn't really know where to put numbers, but we figured we'd try something. As you can see, that gave us a margin of $77. In the end, year 12, our cost for entry level was 95, and our price was 140. So we kept our margin was around the same, but our margin for multi-featured went up to 93, and that's because our costs were down in year 12, even though we had a higher PQ rating in the end, and our price was at 430 on year 12, leaving us with that $93 margin, which is really good. The other thing with we wanted to focus on multi-featured is because we had, as everybody did, literally thousands of more small shops compared to big chains or retail stores, and multi-featured cameras are definitely the ones featured in those smaller mom and pop stores, and we figured if you could really boost sales in those areas, then you'd be set pretty well. Our other goal too was we knew that in Latin America was our #1 region, and North America was our second highest region in sales. So we dumped a lot of advertising money into both those, and we had, I think in the entire game, we had the highest advertising in Latin America. So that definitely affected our sales in those regions, and we stayed in pretty much the top competitor in Latin America and North America, with mostly just multi-featured cameras. Before I go any further, I want to say congratulations to First Shot, Company F, and thank you, because we were really kind of looking at their numbers and seeing, well, what can we do to kind of match these guys. And And even if we were maybe dreaming a little bit, we thought that we were kind of the the, the closest competitor to those guys, because we kind of were, our multi-featured cameras were very similar in warranty and in cost and stuff like that. So we thought, if we can kind of match them or try to be like them, then we can catch up to them and hopefully undercut them in prices. And I think if we kept going, we might have caught up, but it's probably wishful thinking. You can see in this slide the roller coaster ride that we took. That was it was kind of crazy, because year 6, of course, we had to dump some money into changing the cameras around, and we did, and we went green in that year, as well as giving a little bit more of a bonus incentive to employees. But most of this I would say is advertising and stuff like that, just to kind of really start off and get our cameras rolling. So that year was a tough year. We bounced right back and we got a Leapfrog award in year 7 with just outstanding numbers. And the major difference in year 7 is we realized our price couldn't be so low at $416, so we actually bumped it up to $500. So, and by then we were looking at, we have the highest priced camera, and we did have the highest PQ rating, but for some reason we're just not doing too great, and we can't keep staying at the top here forever. And that's why it was a roller coaster ride. It kind of brought us back down until we could find that perfect price point. And around year 8 and 9, we kind of did keep it around in the high 400s, which wasn't too favorable because we were still above the industry average. But at least in this time, we could keep our costs were going down, and then we could still really just tinker with the price. And by this time, we really kind of just realized that people weren't going to change, other companies weren't going to change their cameras as much as just kind of really use marketing and different price points to figure out how to boost sales. And so, and basically we looked at what Company F was doing, and they weren't changing their camera very much, so we decided to really just try to figure out what can help us as far as prices and how can we cut costs. And I know this is just the return on equity graph, but this is what I think this best describes how the course that we took. And it was very conflicting strategies from start to finish. We wanted a high PQ rated camera at a low price, but that's not really it doesn't really work out at the beginning because you have so many costs. And then later on we had a high PQ rated camera, but we wanted a low price. So it was very up and down. You can see here our costs were gradually going up all the way to year 8. That's where I stopped this. And in year 8 we did add quite a few features to our camera, our multi-featured camera, as well as models. In year 8 we decided that entry level wasn't doing much for us, so we added some models to that, added a few features to that, hopefully try to boost sales. So in this graph here, we went with the strengths and weaknesses listed at the bottom and kind of adjusted that, and then we looked at our competitors and saw what we could do to kind of meet everybody else's, or mostly Company F's. But and we kind of really started to catch our stride in year 7 or year 8 and 9, and everything was looking up from there, especially in our last year. Our credit rating was, from year 7 on, was unbelievable. We were paying down a lot of loans, and because year 7 was our best year and we had all this cash, so we paid some loans. We didn't pay dividends very much at all until the end, and we kind of kicked ourselves for that because we noticed that our return on equity would have been a lot higher at that point. So our credit rating was great from year 7 on. And that's the same with our image rating too. We had, I think from year 10 on, we had an image rating of 100, or at least a year in 11 and 12. And and that was important to us. It was important to the game, and I think it helped us get a couple of bonus points and whatnot. So Matt and JP, it was great working with you guys, and had a lot of fun with this game. I just realized this video is as boring as the tutorials for the game, so I'll turn it over to you guys. And so good luck, everybody. Thanks.